Hello and howdy, everybody. Welcome to another Angular Air. Happy Friday. I hope it's been a good one for you so far. Today we have Mike with us. I'm Alyssa Nicoll. Mike, this is Mike down below. Can you do a wave, Mike? A little shimmy,
Yeah,
maybe?
sorry. I was bringing up chat so that I could see it in another window, and you're like, "Hey, how's
That's
it going?" I'm
Mike.
like, "Wait, I'm doing two different things at once."
I'm Alyssa. Today with us, we have the amazing Matthieu Riegler, who is on this side of me. Yes, because I'm like really good at directions. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself for maybe those who haven't seen past episodes with you on or haven't heard of you in the community yet, maybe the newcomers?
Yes, of course. I'm Matt. A lot of people know me by my nickname Jean Mesh. I'm from France. I'm a software engineer, and I'm collaborating a lot with the Angular team. So I'm, let's say, half part of the team without being a Googler.
Awesome. No, I see your name everywhere. So I was like, is anybody interested in talking about SSR? Because like I'm interested in talking about SSR. And you were so gracious to oblige me. So thank you for being very kind and letting me pick the topic. But I was hoping we could just dive into that because it's something I feel like is on the rise. And I think, honestly, with especially some of the improvements the team talks about in the works, I think will become more of a popular thing. And so I'm
Exactly.
excited to, I guess,
Exactly.
create awareness around that. So tell me what you think about this.
Uh, and like you said, it's something that has been worked on recently. That the team is actively working on. I helped a bit on this, and I'll show you some of the things the team has worked on. Some of the things I've worked on, and how great this new feature. Let's say it's not that new, but hydration kind of is, and how cool it is, and what's actually the use case for it.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Let me know when you want to share the screen, but also hello to everyone. You've got a lot of people saying hi to you,
Hi, Lear.
joining from around the
Around the
world.
world.
Hello from Brazil. Hi. Good to see you all. Thank you for chat. Our chat has like been on fire lately. So thank you if you've ever taken part in our chat just to even say hi. It's honestly it's heartening. It's heartwarming. All right. So tell us. Also, do you prefer to go by Jean? Should I?
Call me Matt.
Okay,
That's what
Matt.
I'm used
Okay.
to.
I was like, wait a minute. Have I been calling you the wrong name? This
But
whole
I'm fine with both because it's the name that most people see, so
Mm.
it's not an issue.
All right. So, would you like to show off something? You want to have a discussion first? Tell
Yes,
us.
I think we can do a discussion, and I will show off the things that I will be talking about.
Mm, perfect. Excellent. All right. Well, I can add your screen to the stage if you'd like, although
Exactly.
might
So
be a bit
here we
spoilery.
have a small demo app that uses SSR. SSR, for those who don't know what it is, it's server-side rendering. So with Angular, we are able to render applications on the server and ship all the HTML to the client. So it doesn't have to, let's say, start the application. So it's instant, and it's very useful when you want to do SEO, search engine optimization. Here I've got a small app, and I will show you that if you go to the source of the page, you have a beautiful HTML that contains everything that you had on the screen. If you didn't have that, you had just a bare HTML without any content. So it's when it's optimized, it's just unbearable to just have a look at, but it's just the whole app. It's here, it's displayed, and basically that's the idea of SSR. Let me just take my notes. So one of the main purpose of SSR is SEO, but it's also important for everything that is core web vitals. You know, all the metrics we use to measure if an app is performant or not. Like we have largest contentful paint, LCP, cumulative layout shift, when things move a bit when it loads. So CLS, and first content full paint, that's the FCP. All the metrics that are used to measure, let's say, how good, how well optimized your app is. So SSR mostly is here for those optimizations.
So, if you have, I'm wondering, like, does SSR work in modern days, like just by itself? Like if you have no updating or like reconnecting or interactive, like is there any, I guess maybe for something static?
It could, for example, for something static, of course.
Okay.
It's just in the case of Angular is basically you write your Angular app, you enable with some settings SSR, and just there you go, you have it. This is what I will be talking about a bit. Because recently, with the last major of Angular, the team shipped what they call the new application builder that replaced the old Webpack builder. It's some kind of unified builder that's in the CLI that allows you to have, let's say, with very few settings, just an SSR app running. And I will be able to show you how to create one in just a few links, a few commands. What I'm going to do is just start a new project. Here, I'm creating just a new project on StackBlitz, for example. It works also with the CLI. It's exactly the same that when you do an ng new from your command line.
It's kind of breaking my brain. You can do this on StackBlitz?
Yes, of course. And that's one of the amazing things that the StackBlitz team has enabled, just doing either front-end side or just fully fledged SSR.
Do we know if the StackBlitz team is making bank? Because like if they're not, I'm so sad.
I don't know.
I really
don't hope
I was hoping you were like, yes, they're millionaires. That's what I wanted to hear.
But their tool, shout out to the guys who built that, the guys and the girls. Amazing tool, and I love it. So here, what I have is just a basic Angular app without SSR and everything. And the only thing you need to do is just do ng add Angular SSR. Maybe I need to zoom a bit.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be a bit better.
Thank you. That was a great call out. Perfect.
So just the command is, can I see it or not? I need to write it. So ng add Angular /SSR. And just like that, the CLI will add to you SSR on your project. Just before, I was talking about what we call the builder in Angular. That's one of the common things you can see in your Angular JSON file. And here, that's the so-called application builder. That's the new one that was shipped with v17, and that uses the amazing ES build that makes your app building faster and developing also let's say the dev server is also faster because it uses Vite.
Can you do SSR with Webpack server? Or
you can do that. You can do that. You could do that already since I think it was V11 or something like that.
Okay.
But the settings was a bit more complicated. And it's really the goal with the application builder is that you have only one configuration that does all.
Okay.
And this is what I will show you right now as what my command actually did. It updated the file and added these three entries. So I've got a new file for the server. I've got that's my Angular application. That's the Express server used for SSR, and that's an option that just enables or not pre-rendering. Just to talk a bit about pre-rendering, it's almost the same as SSR, but it just pre-renders at build time. So you don't need to have a node server running for SSR, and you can just ship all your pages as an HTML to your web server, and it just works.
I'm very confused. What is the difference between pre-rendering and SSR?
SSR is just you have a live application running on a node server. So every time you generate a page, it's generated dynamically.
And then pre-rendering is
static.
Not. It's just like not. Okay.
It's done at build time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pre-rendering is done at build time. SSR is live at every request.
I guess I kind of thought they were just like one and the same. Good to know that you'd.
It's almost the same. It's the same feature, let's say, from the functionality, but it's just a difference. Either you render the page when you just access it via your browser, or you render it at the time of build.
And so why would you want to turn pre-rendering off?
Because, for example, you don't know how many pages you have because they depend on, for example, on database entries. Let's say you have a database that have all the items. I would say pre-rendering is interesting when you have, for example, a small blog with a list of articles that are like markdown files, and you can just generate all the articles and have it as a static web app.
Okay.
The difference also can be whether or not you need runtime data or not. If that is static, hence with rendering, pre-rendering, that your content and therefore your output is all static. Pre-rendering makes sense. But if you have things that are changing, prices, whatever within there, or user data potentially as well, then you're going to want to go with an SSR type solution.
Okay.
But there's also conditions where you want to use both. That you have some stuff that's going to be static that you want to pre-render that.
I was wondering, do you think there's a way to like tell like this small bit is pre-rendered, like, or is it not that fine-tuned?
We'll leave that conversation for later, but we'll say it depends upon which pre-rendering tool or setup you're using.
Okay.
So, like I said, this is how you just enable SSR on your app, and it's with the new builder quite easy and really fast to set up. It was really harder before. So if you want to just add SSR on your app and you still use the old Webpack builder, you will gonna need a bit more config. So I'll let you, for the people who wants it, check more the docs about it.
Including having to run multiple processes, correct? You have to run your server separate from your UI.
Exactly. Really, the intent for the new builder, one of the goals was to enable a smooth and easy setup for SSR. So here I built a small SSR app where, like I said, we have some the DOM just rendered directly. As you can see, I just created some components, a header and everything. That's what we see.
And I see you, chat. I'm saving all the questions.
Okay.
I will get to them. There's some really juicy ones.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm happy to answer if I can, of course. One of the new things that was introduced also in the previous version was what we call hydration. Until recently, Angular was doing what we call destructive hydration. So it means that you ship the HTML and the JavaScript for your Angular app at once. And just when Angular starts the application on the browser, it just trashed the whole DOM, so the whole HTML, and create a new one from scratch. And that wasn't great. In terms of performance, in terms of bootstrap time and everything, it wasn't great. So the new feature that was introduced recently is what we call hydration. Is really that we keep the DOM, and what happens is that the application starts and just makes everything live. So every component becomes live without having to be destroyed. So behind the HTML, you get your regular Angular components you are that you are using normally. This is mostly not visible anymore, and it makes the experience for the user a lot more better. So this is the first thing that happens, and whenever you do some request on the browser, on the server, for example, you call an API to just display a table. This is what I do here. You will see that if I load the page, I only get very few requests. I crashed my DevTools. Or the whole browser? No, I don't know what happens. Let me try something else. So I wanted to show this page is loaded dynamically. Or is it maybe because I'm...
You think it's because you're sharing? That wouldn't.
No, it shouldn't. Strange. So I just you're just gonna need to believe me. What's important is what I show here is that you will see that no request is visible from the browser. This is because Angular is able to cache every request that has been done by the server, and it will send the cache with the HTML. And when the application goes live, does the same request, it will actually just read from the cache and hydrate the application. So it means that requests will only be done by the server for the page that you are looking at.
Is JavaScript by chance turned off or no?
For me, no, I never disabled JavaScript, but I don't know what. Oh,
okay. It just looked like the requests that were.
Maybe because that's something I deployed on a Cloudflare, and maybe people are trying to join the.
No! Did we just DDoS ourselves?
Because it's a free plan, it's possible that, or maybe it's something that crashed. I don't know. I'm not that an expert with Cloudflare, but just that's something I will be talking a bit after. So just the main idea is that it what we call the HTTP transfer cache, and it's just cached all the requests done by the server so that the client doesn't have to do it when the application is getting hydrated.
Okay. And one of our questions was about managing 404 errors or 301 redirections with pre-rendering. So I don't know if you have a time during this that you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I don't have exactly a time for this, but we can just answer this. For everything, actually, every error can be handled by the Express server. So the Express server is a server that's going to serve your Angular applications. So you're going to be able to handle these kinds of behaviors. Let's say if you have a 404. Because you're hitting some unknown URL, you can send to a particular page, for example, on the Angular app.
Yeah.
So that's handled a bit ahead of it, but the app can still handle it itself.
Well, because we're doing ng add to add SSR to our application, but at what point do I get myself an Express server so I can handle these errors? Yeah, I'm curious on the steps of this is how you SSR.
Yeah, there's an earlier question that we can talk about.
Okay, which one?
But for pre-rendering, just be aware that you're not necessarily tied to Express for any of this, or Node. You can have other web servers sitting there and just have access to be able to process the Node.
Can you name one, like in an alternative? Can you think of one?
Nginx.
Okay.
You can also run through some of the .NET stuff, and there's some Go web server. There's a lot of options.
Okay.
So what the CLI setups is actually just the Express server. What I'm showing you here is one of the files that's generated by the CLI when you set up SSR, and this is some of the things that you will see. We have the so-called common engine where you set up all the config, you get set a provider and everything, and that's basically the whole setup for Express that's gonna serve the application.
So is everything here in our application as far as configuration, or is there a panel in some Express website that also has settings?
That's actually everything in this code.
It's all right here. Okay, that's nice. Okay.
And like I said, that's the Express configuration. And when you bootstrap the app, you're gonna have here a main server. That's the one that's launched on the server. By comparison, that's the one on the client. It's the same function, but returns something different. As you can see, we return the bootstrap here. And so it's mostly how the application bootstraps on the server.
Chat was saying with ISR, you can handle 404 errors because we can pass the error back to the Express server. While when doing it with just basic SSR, the error won't propagate back to the Express server. What is ISR?
I believe that might be a typo.
No. It's incremental server rendering, and
it's a thing.
It's something that Enea wrote about. I think it was last year. And
oh my god!
It was shared on the Angular blog.
So I shall find this and learn all about it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Maybe you can show them the link. So it's on the Angular blog. Angular Enea wrote this article. So some information for you guys to learn a bit on ISR.
Awesome.
So I talked a bit about the transfer cache. So we had the cache, and then we have, I want to talk a bit about actually how server-side rendering works. So how does it know on the server that that the app can send the HTML that's generated to the client? And it's something that I think all Angular devs have heard about. It's what we call stability. For example, you get ngzone that is stable, or you get application ref that is stable. Just is when the application is actually stable, it means that you have no pending request, no pending timer, interval, or whatever can be pending, or a pending promise. When everything is resolved, then the application becomes for the first time stable, and then it just sends the whole HTML to the client. And for example, if I did something, I could demo it right quickly. I need to find this. Here I got a small demo app. Let me bring the screen up there.
I love that definition, Nuno. It makes me so happy. He said ISR is SSR with cache strategy. And I was like, we all need a good caching strategy, don't we?
For example, imagine, so here that's the app. I need to go on here, start the app. I'm stupid. It's already running.
Is it?
Yeah, it was here running. It was another tab. So, okay, as you can see, it's instantaneous. So you don't have the page loads instantly. If ever I was to just create, let's say, set timeout here with something empty and just say I want to wait 5 seconds to do whatever I want. If I do this, if I go on the client, I reload the app, and it should. I wasn't on the right page. Yes, as you can see, it just takes some time to load, and when the time is done, you will have the page shown. So it means that it's really important to understand that if there is some task happening on your app, you're gonna want to check if is it necessary, or is it something that could only happen on the client. And if ever you got some tasks that you want to do only on the client, you've got several possibilities. One of them is using as platform browser, for example, and you pass the platform ID that you can have if you do a platform. Let's say inject platform ID, etc. So you do something like this. I want to do. No, this is correct. This is not. This platform. And here, for example, you would have some code that only runs on the client and not on the server. Because keep in mind that when you have the components, they will run on both sides if you don't specify some conditions. And what are conditions you can do? This, the other one that's known as using the new function called after next render. So it means when the app, this one only runs on the client, and you can put whatever you want in it. For example, let's say you're using a graph library and it relies on browsers API like window.whatever. This will fail on the server. If you do window.something on the server, it will just crash because the reference doesn't exist, and will only work on the client. So using either a condition is platform browser or using after next render will enable you to use some function only on the client. When I say on the client, it's of course on the browser.
It feels like it's going to be pretty nitpicky if you're going into an application that's existing and saying, I'm going to turn you into SSR. Then you're going through all this functionality and being like, that shouldn't happen on the server. Oh God, that shouldn't happen on the server. Is there like a quick and dirty way of being like, just wrap all your components in after next render? Like,
and then, if you do that, then you lose the whole purpose of running on the server. So it's really just first set up your SSR and just look at what works and what not, and you will directly see if there is an error. It will gonna pop up on the screen. So you're gonna know you need to change. And most of the time, it's just when I look at issues on the Discord, on Stack Overflow, people are asking, why is it crashing? It's just, yeah, you're one access window, but you're on the server side, so it doesn't work. Platform service, that could help. Having a service that does that. So that's one of the points about the stability and running either on the server or on the browser. Just want to mention there is one other function here. If you want to just run something on the server, there is platform server, of course, and this one would only run on the server. Good. So I want to show you what happens when you do server-side rendering. Let me remove that code that I just wrote here. We don't need that anymore. So I've got a small app that displays some child components. So a child component is this one, and I got them nested, so you can see that you have several ones. When you have hydration, you will see in dev mode only some information that your app was actually being hydrated. So here, got 16 components with 96 nodes that have been, let's say, they were hydrated. And I got one information about one that has been skipped. I will talk a bit after that. We can say that some components will be recreated from scratch. So recently, we've worked on some DevTools improvements to support hydration information, debug information. For example, that's what you are used to see with your app when you use the DevTool. You see all the components that makes up your application. And we can see here on the right that every component and also the nested ones were all hydrated. It means that the DOM wasn't destroyed, it wasn't trashed. It was just kept, and it was just the component itself was just bootstrapped, and your application works as if it was bootstrapped from the client only.
But did you do anything specific to get yourself this hydration per each component?
No, it's actually really automatic when you just I just need to show you actually the function to enable hydration.
Because so there is. So I was like, does it do it automatically?
Let's say almost when you create a new project right now, I will set up everything for you. And it's just a project I created with the CLI. And we have the application config, that's the providers you pass to your Bootstrap application. You have this small function, provide client hydration. I will just enable hydration for every SSR app.
Okay.
Just having this provider will do it for you.
Is it weird that it doesn't just do that whenever you ng-add SSR and then just like that it's not a default? Is that weird? Is that not weird?
I need to check, but I'm pretty sure it will add it automatically.
Oh!
If I go back to my stacklets, was it done? Was it done? It was.
It was done.
It added it twice already. Also, maybe I had it already. So yeah.
Excellent.
It just one of the things the team wanted to do is to make the tooling do the scaffolding for you, so you don't have to do all the common setups when you create a new project. So most of the time, you don't have to actually change the providers here if you don't want to change the behaviors for some specific cases. So this file, you don't have to change them for Bootstrap or a project. When you select SSR, you already have everything. So when I said, you don't have to do much, it's because the CLI does it for you.
But when you go then the next step and you're like, I'm going to use Express for this, or I'm going to use Nginx or whatever the thing is, do you go into that provider right where you were that line and just tell it there, or how do you?
It's actually like I showed it before. The server that's gonna be used, is defined here in the server.ts. And this is what I'm not exactly sure what Mike said. Nginx doesn't run JavaScript, right?
Yeah, you would have to have some sort of configuration for any given routes that it needs to be able to call out to Node to do the processing.
Exactly.
So it would essentially be a redirect. But being that we are dealing with a JavaScript application, that it needs to run inside of a Node environment. But there are setups for certain web servers to be able to hook in to be able to make those necessary Node calls. So it would essentially be like an indirect processing.
But like, there's no getting away from Node. Like, it's
correct.
It's run on Node, so you have to use Node. When I say I've seen people already trying to and also achieving it. Run the server on Bun. So this is you're gonna see a bit more. I think the team wants to make it runtime agnostic, so it can run in every JavaScript runtime that supports the same API than Node. And one of the goals of Bun is to be Node compatible.
Have you tried it? I haven't tried it. Have you?
I haven't tried it, no. But I know that I've seen some people running it. It was more like a proof of concept that it works.
Okay.
And we're going to see probably more and more of it because people want to try the performance that's brought by this new runtime.
But to your point, Alyssa, everything inside of this application assumes that there's something out there that's running this application, and you just have to worry about writing the JavaScript/TypeScript to be able to be executed. And then the other side of setting up your web server is what's actually running this code.
So when you go SSR, can you have both? Like, because Mike, you just were like, okay, everything in this app is expecting it to be running outside of, but like, can you still serve this normally, or no, now that it's configured like this, it won't?
Actually, you could, when you do a build of an SSR app, you will get two builds, one for the server, one for the client. If you only deploy the server, you only have the server side that will also ship the JavaScript to the client with the HTML. But if you want just build a what we call a CSR app, a client-side rendering, so the normal Angular for people, you could just use the browser build and it will just work.
Okay.
So I can show you quite quickly.
Not like, no, you can never go back.
You can of course go back. There is a.
Okay, I gotcha.
So if I go back to the topic of hydration and what we can see in the DevTools, like I said, you've got here everything that shows you with multiple data. Here it's hydrated. And here, for example, this one is not hydrated. So we skipped hydration here. And you can see that actually these components, the child components, they were not hydrated. That's because when you use, I will show you into the DOM, or even better into the app. Here I had in my component template here the small attribute ng skip hydration. And this skip hydration just tells the compiler and the server, do not do hydration for this component. It means just trash everything, recreate from yourself. So that's probably for cases where you don't want to, let's say, fix the issues you have with having to implement the checking the platform and everything. You just want to say, okay, this component will only live on the client, so do not do everything, anything on the server, and let the client handle it. And this is what you'll see here. That this component wasn't hydrated, and these children were created from scratch when bootstrapping on the client. And you can see that everyone was hydrated. And if you want to have a global oversight of this, you got a small toggle here, and see everything that was hydrated and everything that was skipped.
Is this more for like, I want you to skip hydration until this thing happens, or is this like, it's like a Boolean, like we turn things
on? It's a Boolean, it's disabled and everything. I will talk a bit about the future, but what the team is looking at currently. But for the time being, ng skip hydration is just tells do not hydrate it. So create everything from scratch.
Okay.
So, okay. Oh no, interesting. I'll show you what happens, because DevTools is actually helps you to develop when you have issues. And let me introduce a broken component. So a component that just breaks hydration, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait.
I'll tell you why. So let me show you what happens when you launch your app. You see here, I've got something that's not rendered. I should have here a hello world. I only have world. And here you see that the skip component is not here. So something must be broken. You check your console. Oh, okay. I have a hydration error. So for example, here NGO 500 during hydration, Angular expects, etc., etc. But you might not know really where that happens. It gives you some information, but it's not that great. So we thought of how could we make the DX, so the developer experience, a bit better. So we integrated it into the DevTools, and now we see directly that we have one component here, the broken child, that has here an issue. And let's say if you had multiple problems, or what it was, I don't know, a list or whatever, you could just show everything. And here you see that you have all the blue components that are hydrated well. The skip one.
I missed it. What did you do? Did you click a button?
Excuse me?
How did you get it to look like this? I missed it.
It's
a toggle.
I
was like, you did some magic.
So it really gives you a visible visual feedback on what's broken and where it's broken. For example, if you had several components with the same name, you would have to know which one is actually broken. So it gives you here where it's broken, and it gives you actually where it failed. Just to give a bit of insight of how hydration works, when you send the HTML, Angular adds some comment nodes and just checks every block. And if you have a difference between either the comment nodes or the block themselves, for example, if you remove it, what I did here is actually I in my broken component, I just removed a div. And removing a div, it means that what you have on the client is different than what you got from the server. And Angular is like saying, oh, that doesn't work for me. It needs to be exactly the same.
Why?
If you have a difference, you will have what we call a hydration. For example, here, it's a hydration mismatch. So you need to have the same outputs in terms of nodes, not particularly the content, but really the number of nodes needs to be the same.
So it is definitely the DOM structure, not necessarily the content.
Exactly. It's
so on the server, it could be 5. Like say maybe you're dynamically showing the time inside of a div, whatever reason.
Exactly.
And you showing the time or the actual content within the DOM node isn't an issue.
And just to give you one case where it can break, but not because of the app, but because of the runtime itself. For example, we know that Cloudflare has a lot of optimization that just reduces the HTML to the bare minimum to send it then to the client. And by reducing everything, they remove, for example, comments. So if you remove the comments that's in the command option on Cloudflare, it will break hydration for you. So this is why we had to add some kind of market, so to check. So if it's there, it means that, okay, it seems like it wasn't modified by the runtime. I mean, by the worker on the cloud. So it should be okay. So if it's not there, we know that, hey, check your setup, check the config online. Probably that your web server did something that it shouldn't do to not break the hydration.
Does anybody know though, like, why it cares? Like that there's a DOM mismatch? I feel like we should just roll with it and be like, cool, we got an extra div now. Or man, that div's gone, that sucks. And then just keep moving. Like, why does it matter?
That's a good question. I think it was discussed when designing the feature, and wanted to say that they preferred to have something that just it shouldn't hide the issue. So because you will have worse performance, a lower lighthouse score, for example, if you have to trash the component and then recreate from scratch. So the idea was really to say, don't hide issues, fix them. It will give you the best performances for your app and your use.
That makes sense.
So it's really the having to not hide issues and getting people to understand what's went wrong.
Okay.
So that's mostly it about hydration. So you can see that with the DevTools, you will have better DX about it. What's funny, I think Minko shared something on LinkedIn recently, and someone was commenting that this kind of features doesn't exist on Next that also does hydration and everything. And it was like, it's been like several years that they've been shipping hydration and they don't even have the DevTools for to help developers understand what happens. So it's great that we are let's say taking care of the let's say more than taking care, improving the DX for all the developers that want to use this feature. So now that we know the feature, I can talk a bit about the limitations.
And like the use cases, I'm dying to know the use
and the use cases. But when I say one of the limitations we know and should be is actually being worked on and should be fixed for the next major. When I say next major, is V18 that should be shipped in May. As for example, we do not support on the server with hydration the defer blocks. You know, one of the amazing features we had in V17, deferrable views. It's views that allow you to lazy load components on the client. It just won't be lazy loaded on the server, and it will only happen on the client. This right now doesn't work for hydration, and should probably we'll see land in the next major. Next point, that's a really amazing one, is partial hydration. So this is something that's been investigated, and the concept of partial hydration is you just ship the whole HTML, but you say to the browser, do not bootstrap everything. Just bootstrap what needs to be live. For example, I don't know, some kind of components, a sidebar and everything, and you say the main content, just start loading it only when someone clicks on it, does an interaction. And this will improve the loading time of the application. So if you say, I just need the bare minimum for my app, visually I've got everything, but I just want to make sure that my main menu is active at start, then you just ship this, and the rest is going to be lazy loaded until some interaction. And if the team is able to land this, then it's going to be an amazing feature in terms of performance. It means that you will only ship the minimum and still have visually the whole app displayed. Do you see how it's going to impact a bit how we see the Angular actually? Is it clear or not what I mean by partial hydration? Not really.
I feel like I had a grip on hydration, but less so now. So because I understood before where the team called it hydration, but because it was destructive, it wasn't really hydration. Exactly. And then I understand now how we are maybe achieving real hydration as we roll into it. But I still feel like there's parts of it that elude me. So
okay, so it's really when we say partial hydration, it means right now when we hydrate a page, we just launch the whole app. So we launch everything. So it takes a bit more time to have everything. But imagine you just have to start some parts of the app. So it means you still have the same result because it has been shipped from the server. So we got the whole HTML. But the components themselves actually don't exist on the client. I mean, the JavaScript is not totally loaded. That's why we call it partial hydration. So we know that some components are loaded, but others aren't until maybe someone does, for example, an interaction. So I click on another div that's rendered, but the component behind it hasn't been actually loaded. So it's like you would have a defer block that says, okay, on the server it has been rendered, but on the client, it's like we're waiting on the click to load the component. I mean, from this, load the JavaScript, bootstrap the component, and you have it live. And by doing this, you just reduce the amount of JavaScript you load when you access the page, and it just makes the app smaller to load and smaller to bootstrap. It's really an idea. In terms of feature, it doesn't bring much, but it brings performance. So you load less, you start less, so everything goes faster. That's the main idea. It's really for performance reasons.
But that JavaScript eventually does get loaded, correct?
It will get loaded. Let's say the framework code itself will be loaded, but say you have several subroutes that will only get loaded when the user actually interacts with it. So it's really like defer blocks on the client, but already rendered on the server. And that's the main difference. It's really knowing that it has been rendered. You see it, but it's not live.
So I'm a little confused because you said that one of the limitations right now is that defer doesn't work.
Yeah.
But it kind of sounds like if you did it this way with partial hydration, that you could right now do this, or is that not?
Exactly. The two topics are actually linked. So to have it, to have partial hydration, you probably would need to have defer working on the server. So
Okay.
two topics are really linked. I haven't seen any demo yet, so it's not something that's already works. But I know that's something that's the hot topics. That's like one of the main items that the team would want to work for the next major.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, Nuno. I get to give an SSR talk, but it's going to be with my friend Catherine, who's on the React side. So we're like doing this talk where I'm like showing it from the Angular perspective and she's showing it from the React perspective. And Nuno just said, this stuff needs some good infographics for like CSR versus SSR and then SSG versus ISR and exactly, like there's so many definitions to like
different definitions. The use case is always a little bit different, but the concepts are really close every time. So it's like it's not black and white. It's like a gradient from white to black, and in the middle you've got the gray, and so it's
honestly like if you're like just a normal CSR developer. And you're like, you start to Google and you're like, oh, I should get into this server side stuff. Yeah. And then it's just like, a whole pile of content just like falls on you because it's such an intense world.
Of course, it's like you're starting to do some, let's say, some backend, but not really because it's front end, and that's why I call it sometimes it's a bit gray. It's not white and black. So,
I did not expect this side of development to be so expansive. There are a lot of passionate people over here, and I love it. It's exciting.
So that was one of the points. And last point, but not least, that's also one of the main topics the team is actually and actively working on is Zoneless. The goal will be to run SSR with Zoneless apps when Zoneless are shipped. And this is kind of tricky because, like I said, SSR relies on having a stable app. And how do you know an app is stable without Zone.js? And that's actually the topic the team is working on, being able to bring all the features that were brought by Zone.js and do it without it. So nothing has landed yet. It's still a topic of work, but I really hope that we will get something later this year. I've got no visual, no idea when it's gonna get shipped, but I know it's really being worked on.
Okay, and there's not like an RFC or anything.
No. Will there be one? I don't know neither. I know that the team likes to do RFCs if they have, let's say, a good idea, they want to share and get a lot of feedback around it.
Okay.
So maybe Zoneless in itself could be a topic, but not yet. It's just the team first need to have a good idea of how things will work from their perspective, and then share it, and they will see do they need do they want some feedback because some things are not really clear for them, or they need some new use cases and everything. That's where the RC are the most useful. Like we saw where there was signals, people were really interested on the topic. They want to
hey, I thought we were like almost there. This person's laughing at when zoneless ships, but I'm like, wait.
When zoneless ships, the question is nobody knows. Nobody knows, but I know that it's been worked on. I've seen some previews, and I hope it's gonna ship this year, but I'm not sure.
Vlad had a question about universal versus Next or Next.
Good question. Probably not better, not worse. It's different because okay, it's Angular, but when you see it's that every framework. So Next is let's say it's SSR for Vue. Next is SSR for React. So universal actually doesn't exist anymore. We call it SSR for Angular. So you don't have the ng universal package. When I was talking about SSR, ng add SSR is actually the old ng universal package that got renamed and integrated into the CLI repo.
Sneaky.
So
it is better for Angular applications. We'll leave it at that. No framework wars.
No, it's because I really believe that framework learn from each other. So every great feature that you see in other framework, if it's really great, it will land in the others, of course. So great ideas are shared and cared by everybody. So if Angular is a good idea, I hope that other frameworks will take them also. It's just, it makes the whole ecosystem better. So good ideas is good for everybody.
I'm with Ilya here, who's saying that the beans should be spilled. So if there are beans,
I mean, like I said, I'm not spilling anything when saying that I know people work on this, but we don't have anything concrete to share right now.
I saw the signs, it's going there, but I'm like, I don't know. It just feels like it's gonna be a while.
I've been outside of Angular for a little bit. But correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the reference to Zone.js pulled in directly in the polyfills file?
Yes, it is.
You want zoneless? Comment that line out.
Yes, but you will.
You're in charge of your own change detection, but
exactly. You can have, and zoneless is already some kind of possible. There is a famous library that is Eric's Angular that has some implementation that will allow you to do zoneless, so without any Zone.js. But it works only in certain contexts. And if you try to use zoneless with, for example, Angular material, it will break it.
It would break it.
It break it. It doesn't work without Zone, the Angular material library.
Okay. Well, I mean, Mike is a bit extreme. It's like his wife's like, "Hey, I want adventure," and he's like, "Let's go cliff diving." Like, can you not, Mike? You're like, "Let's just handle our own change detection." Sure.
Yeah. It's not a particularly new topic. Some things exist, but the DX is not great.
Okay.
And the goal is when the team is gonna ship it is having, let's say, something on par with the existing. It's gonna integrate really great with signals, but you won't need to use signals to go zoneless.
Really?
Yeah.
I assumed you would.
Yeah, a lot of people believed it. The team also believed it, and they actually
they proved themselves wrong. They were like, "You don't need these."
Yeah, and actually, it became two separate projects, and they just saw there was an opportunity actually to do zoneless without signals. You can do it, of course, with signals. Signal is going to be the recommended way for zoneless, but other possibilities exist.
Excellent.
And just they want to show that zoneless is a separate topic that you can use without it, but there are going to be some issues around it. And this is why in terms of DX, signals is going to be the go-to recommended by the expert and the team because of the experience.
Do you think that we're headed in a direction where just one day Zoneless will be like the default, and like you don't have to like pick or try to.
I believe it should be a goal. It should be a goal because to me, a zone has several issues. If I can give 5 quickly, just the size. It's per 30 kilobytes of just no features, but just a toolbox that Angular uses. It messes up, for example, your stack trace when you're doing some debugging. You've got the concept of zone. Are you inside, outside the Angular zone? You don't know. In terms of optimization, so also zone is known to run, let's say, too much of change detection. They want to be on the safe side and saying rerun as much as we think is needed. If it's too much, we don't care. And all these things makes that zone as negative in terms of performance, of DX, etc. It's really great because it hides a lot of complexity, makes a lot of things automatic, but in terms of performance, not great. So I believe that having it as a goal is a sane idea. And I really hope that's going to be the default somewhere, maybe, I don't know, when we're maybe next year or something like that. I don't know.
I would hope so, just because I don't like living in a world where there's like 2 major paradigms and we just get to pick and try to like make one of them happen. So I would hope we would pick one and kind of
And the Angular is still an opinionated framework, so they will push for something what they believe is the best. So at one time we will probably have a zoneless apps, and probably also it has been talked a bit about without RxJS as a default. Still very compatible, but without it. It means that Angular would live without any other dependencies. But that's a whole other topic.
That's a big can of worms.
A big can, like you said. I know the community is talking a bit around it. And it's great that the community is actually quite lively on topics that matters to them. And it's also part of job the team to communicate what's the real goal and showing that we care about RxJS, but we also care to show that RxJS is not necessary. So we love the DX with RxJS. For example, it was 2 days ago, we worked on a feature about the new outputs, and it was really important to the team to keep the compatibility with observables on outputs. And just it shows that it's important to keep the compatibility, but also show that it's not necessary.
I honestly love it because it is this 2-pronged approach of like, how can we make it simpler for beginners, but also we're not dropping the community in the dust, who's like obviously very integrated with observables. So I love it. I love it. Dude, this was such an amazing, amazing episode. I am so grateful for you for like coming on and talking about this. It's something I'm super excited about to get into and to start sharing with people. So thank you. And thank you to chat too. You were very
Thank
lively.
you for having me. And I will see you in...
Are you coming? Are you coming?
3 weeks. I'm coming to NGConf.
Amazing. Okay, so I have an announcement around that. That's my pick. Do you boys have picks for the day? Anything you want to highlight from this week, technologically related or not? Anything? No? Had an amazing vanilla ice cream you wanted to share or something? Mike?
I got nothing.
Okay, so
my pick is your pick. Whatever you got.
Let's go, Alyssa. Let's go.
I got a cool pick. So Progress is actually joining forces with Hero Devs, and to celebrate, we are giving away 50% off tickets, whether in person or online, to NGConf. So if you use the promo code KendoUI, you can get 50% off your ticket. So I hope to see you there, whether you're in person or whether you're online. Matt will be there, Mike will be there, and we'll be giving away fun prizes again, whether you're online, whether you're in person.
Oh,
I can't see. You're
Mike
so
was
small.
ready for this. Mike was ready for this.
I can't read it.
It says Hero Devs.
It says Hero Devs. Thank you. I'm trying out my new like mini monitor, and it's apparently too mini for this. So, thanks, Jeff. Thank you, Theo. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Vlad. You guys are amazing. Sending love. And we're signing off. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.